EA Sports, it's in the game. PlayStation.
Over 10 times the size. 5 times the weapons. 3 times the size of the game map.
3 new worlds.
60 new directions to walk in. Over 200 more NPCs.
And this time we added a mini-map.
Welcome to the Unstoppable Force podcast. I'm Guy.
And I'm Rob. And this week we're going to do our recap of E3.
Yeah, usually there's quite a lot covered in E3, and we thought we'd do you guys a favor and go over the stuff that's actually worth talking about.
Yeah, the most important stuff. Because I kind of felt like, I don't know if it has been done previously, but a lot of stuff talked about was either new content for existing games or remastered games or games coming to new platforms.
Yeah, there's definitely, I think, a lot more of the games like being remade and a lot more of the DLC, especially since we've moved towards this games as a service world.
Yeah.
I think that's part of it.
Yeah.
But there was some new stuff, and I think also a big part of this was like a tech showing, whether it's like the new Xbox console or all the cloud services.
Or, streaming services.
Yeah, streaming stuff.
Everybody's getting in on.
So it's a lot of tech, I think, compared to the previous years of like new, engaging things that they're trying to get us to use.
Yeah.
Lots of subscription services.
Yeah.
But I think we should probably just jump into it. We've got a lot to cover.
Yeah.
So what was the first day? The first day was...
EA had their conference. I think that was EA.
Yeah. EA had their conference on the first day.
Yeah, and like usual, we have our new Madden and new FIFA.
Yeah, that's typical.
Yeah. Got
to make that money off of Ultimate Team, right?
Yeah.
We're not doing loot boxes anymore. Oh, but we're making like millions of dollars off of those games.
Yeah, just redoing the same game, but like not change the physics for like 3 games later. And
then Apex Legends, like once again, like you were saying, just kind of more stuff coming out for a pre-existing game. So we've got the new character.
Yeah.
Edison, right? Watson.
Watson.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
she's kind of got like these electric fences that she could put in front of
she
walls
has
and
entrances. She has like defensive structures she puts up and electric fences. Kind of like a Fortnite character coming to Apex.
What was her ult though? I actually don't remember.
It's like an interception pylon. It places an electrified pylon that destroys incoming ordnance and refills her teammates' shields.
Oh right, it refills the shields. It's kind of like it's kind of like a Rissa almost or something, but like instead of giving you damage, it fills your shields.
Yeah.
Or like what's her name? Also in Overwatch.
Brigitte?
No, Symmetra.
Symmetra.
Remember how she can put down like the shield generator?
Yeah, shield generator.
So I guess kind of like that almost.
Yeah.
But like in an AOE.
Yeah.
I mean, she looks pretty cool. There's also like a new weapon that was leaked.
Yeah.
Called the L-Star.
L-Star. I think that came from Titanfall.
Yeah.
And it supposedly can shatter doors and just does high damage.
Yeah, it's supposed to be an LMG, I believe, as well. Which I'm curious if they're just going to go with, using another... Because they have an energy ammo LMG.
Yeah.
They've got a heavy ammo LMG, the Spitfire.
Yeah. So now it's...
I guess they have to do a light LMG, but that would be kind of weird. I don't know. So we'll see what they do with it.
Especially if it does like damage like this and shatter doors, I would expect it to be either heavy or like even if it sounds like it could be like a shotgun kind of, like an auto shotgun if it's gonna like blast doors out.
We could probably find out if we looked up
Titanfall?
The Titanfall version, but I did see that people were still kind of speculating on it though, so it probably isn't identical.
Yeah,
it's like an adaptation. So we'll see. But the only thing that was really interesting out of EA, I felt, this E3 was their new game, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order.
We're getting like a new good. Well, not good. Okay, we got a new Star Wars game.
It's a single-player game,
It's single-player. It's like Force
Crazy
Unleashed. Kind of reminds me of Force Unleashed, right? Almost like a slashing kind of game, like lightsaber and stuff. So it's not a shooter again.
Yeah, I think I heard it being compared to almost like Bloodborne, the way it was going to play.
Yeah, I think
maybe more boss rushy.
Like the director or ex-director was mentioning that they were trying to bring Bloodborne to Star Wars, with this.
Mm-hmm.
So
I think that sounds awesome though,
Yeah.
because Star Wars has like a unique fighting style that other games and other even fantasy universes just don't have. This
Yeah.
like high agility sort of focus, and using the Force with it can, I think, be some really interesting gameplay
Yeah.
in a
And
Bloodborne style.
with other than like just hacking and like just like shoving around stormtroopers, you kind of need some probably like a stronger foe to fight against. Like if you can use the Force and you have a lightsaber that can just block basically anything or cut through anything, you need to come up with something that's like more powerful, that's going to give a challenge to the player.
Yeah, hopefully it'll end up being very boss focused, because I think that a game where I'm just playing as a Jedi fighting crazy enemies and having to dodge projectiles and deflect stuff and like roll and jump and do all this crazy stuff, I think that would sound a lot of fun. Like a boss rush, almost like Star Wars game. So I'm into it. I'm over the and I know there was a big controversy about the fact that it was just like a basic white guy was the main character. I think everyone's gotten over that one.
So they cry if they're black, they cry if they're women, they cry if they're white, they cry if they're like
everyone's
male.
upset. It doesn't matter. Somebody's upset.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. If it's a good game, it's a good character. That's what matters.
Right. Like, I can understand where some people came from on that, but at the same time, the characters are characters, and we don't know anything about this guy. Like, I personally, when I feel like a game is picking a character or making them a specific race or ethnic background or nationality or anything like that for the sole purpose of marketing and like wokenomics, where they're trying to do it like for the sake of it, I don't like it. But if it, I think we've had this conversation before. If it just kind of fits in well and it just makes sense, then absolutely go with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I don't know. Maybe there really is a lot of white guys in Star Wars.
I mean, possibly. I mean, you don't know what all the stormtroopers freaking look like. They have helmets on, so for all you know, be anybody.
I guess that's how Finn's black. So maybe they're all. Maybe every single one of them is black, and we don't even know.
Wow, but now all the bad guys are black. Okay. So
wow, I didn't say that. Hey, the one who's actually black, Vader, will end up being white. So who knows? It could be like opposite. Okay.
Gotcha.
Other than that, I mean, EA kind of didn't have much.
No.
There was like some Battlefield 5 updates, and there was some like updates
more updates for games and stuff like that.
Nothing really major, nothing that really stands out, and even the updates weren't that big of a deal. So, EA, what would you say? EA, what would you rate them 1 out of 10? They're showing.
It's kind of like, I don't know, because it was just stuff I kind of expected with like just new FIFA, new Madden, and like with exception of Star Wars.
It's like one new thing, a lot of old things. Like I guess there's a new FIFA and Madden that doesn't really
that's
count
just
though.
Standard. That's just standard operating.
But you could like watch EA's showing, and there's nothing that you were like, whoa, that's like really blowing me away.
Right, maybe like Star Wars, because they have like the physics that you don't want to just hit a dude with a lightsaber and just like cut through them and they fall. Like you want to feel the force of it and like the damage and like see the effects of the lightsaber. So they kind of got that. So it's like really cool to watch what's happening. So.
I mean, that's like where all 5 of those 10 points come from, basically.
Those 5 points.
I mean, I like Apex too, and I want the new season to be really good. They're also coming out with a ranked mode. I forgot, which is going to definitely add more replayability to it. But
is that
still very?
We still didn't get like our singles or anything like that. That would have been really good to like
the singles,
like playing instead of like a.
Oh, you mean solos, duos, triples?
Solos, yeah, that's what I meant.
I mean, there's also I believe there's also like a new mode that they're doing right now, like the Legend mode or Legend of the Hunt or something. Okay. Where if you win or you get in the top 5, you play a game with all the people in the top 5 of the last like games that were won. And you get like a bunch of unlockables from doing that. But that's like the only new thing on top of the stuff that we've already mentioned. So they're still, I mean, they're adding a lot. I think they're committing to making the Battle Pass better, but overall, EA is like a 6 maybe. I'll give it instead of a 5.
Yeah.
Next, we got Google.
And they're basically the whole thing about Google here is, I guess they also introduced themselves in the market with Stadia. That was it. So that's what they're running with.
They're just kind of stepping into the gaming market.
Yeah. And they gave us more details, like on pricing and
like, $15, right, a month for their normal plan.
Yeah.
And then isn't there like an ultimate version as well?
Well, I think that was the ultimate version. That was the $15, and then
there's
the $10 that is supposed to be the normal version. So the $15 gets you all the 4K, I think, and all the high speed like connection, and then whereas $10 probably just gets you the like max like resolution on whatever game that you're gonna buy to play with it, because you actually turns out have to pay for a game to be able to even have it on the Stadia. So you're paying $10 a month.
It's really just a console,
right? You're paying the $10 to have access to the software and like this whole system in a sense, and then you have to buy the actual game to play it with that.
Yeah,
and it's not really what I guess at least what I was expecting, because like to be competitive, it should just be you get the games like you pay, and there's a certain amount of games that you get. Yeah, exactly.
And it didn't.
The only thing I can say that they have going for them is they have the integration with YouTube. So they have with streamers where you can play with other, the streamers playing, and they're like, oh, join my game. So if you have Stadia, you get put in a queue by just clicking join on the video, and you get the to look up walkthroughs with the whole database of YouTube videos. So you're kind of paying for that on top of being able to access your game anywhere that you want to. And I think that they have good marketing if they get streamers on YouTube. They're playing, they go, oh, you want to play with me? You need Stadia, so that's how they're going to sell it.
I don't think people, like streamers, really want to play with their fans, though, to some extent.
I mean, if they're being paid,
depends.
I think if Google pays
if they paid
people,
them, sure.
They're going to pay them. They're going to say, look, we're giving you Stadia. We're going to pay you to say and to play with this, X amount of, your fans, so that every time you say you're playing, it's going to get a good amount of them to be like, oh, I have a chance to play. Let me buy it, and then that's how they'll get the majority of their subscriptions.
They also announced 2 exclusive games. I guess they have some studios that were making some games. One is Get Packed, which actually seemed kind of fun.
Yeah, it looks
couch game with your bros.
Yeah, it's a co-op. I think it's 4-player. It reminds me of Overcooked and Think of the Children. I think that's what it's called. And where you're like 4 characters, 4 players.
You have to like move everything.
Yeah,
right?
You have to move into like a moving van or whatever. So you all grab like a corner of a car and walk it to the van. But you got to watch out for traffic. It can hit you, and different stuff can be happening all around you. It looks kind of fun.
Both of their games seem fun. The other one was GYLT. I think it's pronounced Guilt.
Yeah, that's what it looks like.
And it's a horror game that kind of looks like it's a Pixar animated movie. It's kind of cool looking.
Yeah.
But between just 2 exclusive titles, Stadia being pretty expensive compared to xCloud, without really having anything particularly great comparable.
Yeah,
and also, I think you said Uplay, their subscription service Plus. Would be free.
Teaming up with it. Is it free with it?
If you pay for the Stadia, would you get Uplay available?
I think it comes with
it?
the top tier one. That's what it.
But not the lower tier one.
I'm not sure.
Oof.
I
honestly, but
details.
Stadia had a really weak opening, in my opinion. I think that with xCloud coming in right behind it, it really lost any major steam it had. They needed to come out with a cloud console either earlier this year or last year or something, because I just feel like xCloud really overshadowed it.
Yeah, we kind of already also had some streaming service. Like you already had. Well, I guess like xCloud is the new the thing that Stadia is doing. Whereas all these other companies like EA and
they have their
subscription services. So you already have those that like Google's getting into that they don't have a library of things to stream.
Yeah, they have no games, and it's hard to compare to Xbox. But we'll talk more about there when we go into the Microsoft section, or what is it called again? Stage showing.
Yeah, the conference.
Conference. There we go. Microsoft's conference.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much everything Google had for us.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give them like a 3 or something.
Yeah, they kind of flashed a bunch of games that would be accessible. Like I know, like Doom, you'll be able to play on it.
Mm-hmm.
Just like you'll be able to play on it, but
you just have to buy it though.
Yeah. So I just did a quick search, and so it says that Google Stadia will add Uplay Plus in 2020 with unlimited access to Ubisoft games.
So it would be part of it.
Yes.
I mean, Ubisoft, honestly, it has this one of the smallest, in my opinion, lists of games, catalog of games compared to Xbox, EA, Sony, pretty much any of these other companies. Ubisoft's very much a games as a service focused company. It's still coming out with stuff for For Honor.
Yeah.
You know, like there's only new game or 2 new games I think they're coming. And actually, there's a few new games.
There's a few.
We'll get there, yeah. But overall, Google was weak. I think with Uplay being added, it would be stronger, but it's not like it's getting added today. It's getting added next year. So Google is going to have a difficult time getting any traction, I think.
Yeah. I think they're also, like, using a lot of their other services to, like, subsidize this Stadia. So I think... Well, it'll be interesting to see how it plays out.
The next one, though, is Microsoft. And I'm sure you could already tell I'm a bit of a Microsoft fan. And I think that this was one of their best shows.
Yeah.
This is definitely the winner.
They were like definitely the heaviest hitter in all of this E3 this year. They definitely had the most content.
Yeah. And the most, like, revolutionary technology and... because like it's not just xCloud. I mean, even just Flight Simulator.
Oh yeah.
Was created using AI and satellite data.
Yeah. So,
like they recreated the Earth using information and AI.
Yeah.
So that's pretty crazy.
Yeah. No. And like a big thing with Microsoft this year is they went. Now that they've turned into releasing their games onto PC, they've coming around to the consumer. They're like this whole like console war thing kind of has blown over for a while. Yeah. So now they're just embracing if I sell it on PC and Xbox, I'm just gonna get so more copies. It's guaranteed.
I mean, they're even going one step further than that, and they're going to be putting their games on Steam.
Yeah.
Apparently, they're like, hey, you like Steam? Fine, we won't get 30% unless we sell over 1 million. I think it's like over 1 million copies or something like that, and then it goes to 20%.
Right.
But they're willing to forfeit a little extra money on those games to allow players choice.
Yeah.
And then you've got Epic over in the corner being like, he's like the little, it's like a classroom, and Epic is like that kid who will like do mean things or ridiculous things for attention. And that, like, for that 5 moments of attention, and everyone's like, no one likes you, dude, and, like, just pushes them away. That's what I feel like Epic is at this point. And Microsoft came in as, like, the nice guy who...
Like the teacher's pet.
Yeah, exactly. He's like the little teacher's pet who...
like is a great example for everybody.
Yeah, he tattled on Epic there and threw some shade at him.
Yeah.
Apparently they actually like specifically threw some shade at Epic regarding them putting games on Steam and not really having this like, oh, we have to be exclusive kind of push. And in fact, actually, there's some games that were supposed to be exclusives on Epic Store that are also going to be on
Steam.
Yeah, like Metro Exodus went up on it. So they're kind of like shitting on Epic right now, which is pretty funny.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they've got the new Halo game, which looks. I mean, we saw a trailer.
Yeah,
we don't really know
teaser trailer type of.
There's not really much information about it, but a new Halo on Xbox and PC.
Yeah.
Where it's like not just a second thought,
Mm-hmm.
or it's like made for competitive PC as well as Xbox.
Yeah.
It's gonna be really cool. I really hope they also do something good with Forge, because I always loved it, but I feel like they overcomplicated it.
Yeah.
What else was there?
We have we have Elden Ring is a fantasy game that's actually has George R. Martin part of it
Is he like a writer on it? I don't even know.
It just said
like
the
World
dude
or something?
and George R. Martin.
Mm-hmm.
So he must be writing it. I mean, he's not writing his books.
I don't think he wrote the game. I think he might have helped with like world building, story, characters, things like that.
Yeah.
Kind of almost like a consultant for the studio.
Yeah.
With their like main writer, who probably was the other guy whose name we don't know.
It's Deki Mazayaki.
Yeah.
I probably did not get that right, but.
But that looked pretty cool as a fantasy game.
Yeah, like a new IP fantasy game.
Then there's also Phantasy Star Online 2, which a lot of people might not know. But the first one was on Xbox. It's a free game, and it's like a pretty cool Japanese RPG MMO that was pretty fun. Yeah. I'm definitely going to check it out when it comes out. Hopefully it's still free. I think it is. I think the new one will be free. Then there was Crossfire X announced, and that's like a...
So it's new to the America's game. So it's an FPS. So it's apparently Asia's favorite FPS.
Like almost like Counter-Strike comparable to.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess we didn't get any gameplay. It was a trailer.
No.
So we don't really know how it looks.
But then we also got State of Decay 2's new expansion on Heartland, which is apparently like really big.
Yeah.
With a totally new area.
Yeah, and like story, two storylines kind of like supposed to intertwine.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. And there's Forza Horizon 4 Lego Edition, basically, like the Lego Speed Champions, which looked weird, but maybe kind of fun if I had Xbox Games Pass and didn't care about buying it.
Yeah.
Dying Light 2 was shown at the Microsoft conference as well, and that looked pretty cool. Yeah. Dying Light 1 was a lot of fun, and I always liked their combat, so this is definitely going to be another cool game.
Okay. We had Gears of War 5, which is going to be on PC. I guess I could say most of these games are going to be on PC.
Yeah, anything that's Xbox, I believe, is now also on PC.
Okay. So Gears of War 5 is going to have a new escape mode, where it's not like Horde. I don't know if they're going to have Horde, but it's different than Horde, where... it's kind of like a zombie sort of like escape, zombie get to next checkpoint, sort of like a Left 4 Dead style, where like the players get like ability to each like load out.
I watched the video of it and I couldn't really get a full idea, but it seemed kind of like it doesn't play like Left 4 Dead.
No,
but I think that the concept of the way you're going through a mission and like making certain decisions, fighting together, and there being like special enemies, and
I think there's like a waypoints that you have to go to, versus like in Horde it's like bunker down, survive the waves.
Mm-hmm. So hopefully it ends up being more interesting.
Yeah.
I think there was a quote by somebody who was part of the development team, more on the creative side, for Gears of War, and they had said that the previous Gears was like super safe. Mm-hmm. And that they were like, there was like an adjustment internally or something that they were doing, and so they were just going with what was like very safe. But this Gears is supposed to be about like trying some new and different ideas. So hopefully it'll bring some like a new fresh kind of tone and feel to the Gears games, which I think have been kind of having a difficult time the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't played since like the third one.
Mm-hmm.
But it looks like I'm gonna get something close to that again, especially with like the combat that we were looking at, And even like with the trailer, when they were like showing the first trailer, it was like callbacks to the old, like the original um, characters. Where like I think like the main character, I think it's a female, but then she was like getting like not like visions, but she was like it looked like in the video like she was going crazy, like shaking her head, like hearing voices from the
like almost she's
ones.
like an insane
yeah,
kind of person.
yeah, where she's like kind of connected to the past,
like Mason or something from Call of Duty Black Ops.
Yeah.
But it's like Mason.
I mean, look, if they're trying
what
something
are the numbers?
New, looks good.
And then there's a whole bunch of other games. There was Dragon Ball Z Kakarot, which is a new Dragon Ball Z game. Lego Star Wars Skywalker Saga, Psychonauts 2, which is going to be part of the Games Pass. Wasteland 3, which is going to be set in Colorado. The new Flight Simulator, which looked amazing graphically and realistically.
Trailer, but
I mean, it wasn't like a cinematic trailer. It was all in engine. Yeah. That's what the game will look like when you play it.
Yeah.
Which is crazy.
Yeah, that's true.
And then there's the new Blair Witch game.
Looks like it's based off of the movie.
Yeah, it's like a horror-y game. Kind of looks cool, though.
Yeah.
A lot of horror games aren't set in the woods, and this game looked like it was more set in the woods.
I mean, Slender Man,
yeah, but I mean like a real AAA, like major horror game title.
Yeah.
They're usually they're in the woods, but it's like a town in the woods, and you're mostly in like that small town.
Like Resident Evil,
right?
You kind of went through outside.
Or like Outlast 2 was kind of in like a townish.
Yeah.
But this seems like full woods.
Yeah.
Which I find the woods to be very scary, like
at
setting.
Nighttime, setting, yeah.
And then there's the new Minecraft Dungeons, which is like Diablo.
Yeah.
Like they made Minecraft Diablo.
Yeah.
But it actually looked like fun.
Yeah.
I kind of want to play it. Weirdly enough, I think a lot of us have been dying for a new Diablo game because Blizzard wants to take fucking forever for some fucking reason.
Supposed to be working on it.
Yeah, well, they're probably going to be too late. Yeah, Minecraft Dungeons is going to eat up the whole market for ARPGs.
I don't know. You have some dedicated Diablo fans.
Hopefully they learn, and they don't make a online marketplace that is like a black market for buying and selling legendary items and shit like their auction house was at launch. God.
Yeah. We have Ori and the Will of the Wisps.
Mm-hmm.
Which there was previous games of Ori, but I have not played them. But this one looks...
I haven't played the first one either, but I've seen like a lot of trailers and I've watched like some gameplay.
Like, it looks really, really cool. It's like a side... how'd you explain it?
It's a platformer.
Platformer, yeah. But like the graphics look like the things in the background
very
kind of coming out. Very
fantastical, very like strong colors. Yeah. Like, very light and vibrant colors with very dark blacks as well. And the contrast looks really beautiful. Definitely one of the prettiest games, especially if like just looking at indie. Definitely standing out as one of the major indie games. And that's also going to be on the Games Pass. Actually, to even talk about the Games Pass, I mean, so many games are going to be on the Games Pass. Just even new ones that were announced at Microsoft's conference.
Oh yeah.
You got. Let me look at the full list here. We got Crossfire is going to be on there. The new Halo is going to be on there. Gears of War 5 is on there. The Psychonauts 2 is going to be on there. Bleeding Edge, which is a brand new 4v4 MOBA fighter brawler game made by the people who made Hellblade and
DMC,
Devil May Cry.
Yeah, Devil May Cry, the combat director.
Yeah.
Which, that's pretty cool.
So that game, it's definitely one of those games that's like, I definitely don't know if I'll like it till I play it kind of thing, but I think people are open-minded. We'll see.
And the character designs look pretty cool. Some of them look really metal, in my opinion.
Isn't there like a person who's like breathes fire out of their tongue and has like some sort of
like
metal
neck,
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Minecraft Dungeons on there, Blair Witch is on there, the Flight Simulator is free on there. Well, I guess none of it's free because you have to pay $10 a month, but $10 a month for all of that
alone, just that.
Yeah,
even
I mean,
if it was just that, even.
Yeah. And then you're adding all the games in that they've released up till now.
Yeah.
And on top of that, it's only $5 for PC right now because they're doing like a beta where it's like only PC. You know, if you don't have an Xbox, you don't have to pay $15 a month. You can just get this version.
Right.
But then they also have like the $10 version for Xbox. But
Xbox only. Yeah, so there's the Xbox only is $10 a month. There's the PC only is $10 a month, but right now it's $5 a month. Then they have for Xbox and PC, and you get the gold, Xbox Gold, that's $15.
It's almost actually, if you have an Xbox, there's really no reason to get the $10 a month version because $5 a month is $60 a year, which is the price of gold.
Right. And
so if you pay the $15 a month version, you don't buy gold, it's the exact same amount of money. So you're already paying $15 a month if you have the Xbox only version of the pass. So I think it was very good though. Microsoft's definitely going for this like choice sort of structure where they're allowing people to get in cheap and focusing more on their library of games. And I think it's really cool. They also did the Cyberpunk 2077 with Keanu Reeves.
Oh, yeah.
Was in the Microsoft conference, which was crazy.
Yeah.
And then the main two heavy hitters technologically for Microsoft was Project Scarlet and xCloud for sure.
Yeah.
You want to talk about Project Scarlet?
I don't know too much about it. I just know it's their next console they have coming out, and I believe they said it's like 4 times as powerful.
I think so. I mean, they have said specifically that it could go up to 8K resolution.
Yeah, exactly.
So it's got to be stronger than my PC that I currently have.
And it's like the latest, obviously, like AMD. They're going to have AMD in there. It's processing.
And then there's going to be like SSD with virtual RAM that you can like use to optimize the games and load speeds.
Yeah.
Honestly, I mean, the difference between this console and the previous gen, I feel like we're jumping so far compared to previous generations. Like the technology step, it was like, oh, we went from 720 to 1080.
Yeah.
This is like, oh, we're going from 1080 to fucking 8K.
Yeah.
It's not even like this is the Xbox like Scorpio or whatever.
Yeah.
This is their base console is going from 1080p to 8K. So this is like the biggest step up in gaming. Like now, if this comes out next year, which is going to be coming out next year in the winter, it is going to be better than my PC. And my PC is probably like over $2,000 total, at least when I bought it like 3 years ago or 4 years ago.
Right. So that's why I want to know what the price they're gonna have on this. On top of
it's got to be like $400. They can't.
Look, the thing is.
Oh right, because you can still get xCloud, so they may actually make it more money.
So what I was gonna get at is if the console is the same price like range as we have, like each gen has done, $400, whatever, $500. But a lot of times, buying the $60 games or whatever, this like all like kind of subsidizes that because you're buying their games and it goes to them. So because they're kind of losing out on money on the console, they're buying you're buying the console and then you're buying only their games. Right. But now when you're doing that and you're paying for like even the Games Pass, right? Then you're paying $10 a month, and now you get all these games. I don't think that adds up to the same amount that people buy, pay for, unless maybe that math is it's even more than.
So you're saying like selling these consoles at like a pretty steeper loss than in previous generations, so that they can try to sell the Games Pass and xCloud.
Yeah.
Honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if this console is more similarly priced to the Xbox One S, which is the 4K Xbox. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if it's more in that price range, because I think what they're going to do is they're going to be like, hey, if you can't afford this crazy console that we're releasing that can give you 8K resolution,
Mm-hmm.
you could just spend the I believe it's going to be, is it $14.99 for xCloud's full version?
Yeah. I
So
think
they might just be like, hey, go and use xCloud then. Spend $15 a month, and you can get a streamed version of this really powerful console, essentially.
Yeah.
But if you don't, and you actually... So this is pretty cool. You can actually have free... No, now that I'm remembering, I think it's cheaper. I think it's $9.99 for xCloud. I'm not sure. But I do know that there's a cheaper version of xCloud, which is free, but you have to own the console.
Mm-hmm.
So if you own the console, you can actually turn the console into an xCloud server.
Uh-huh.
So you can, let's say, you wanted to play Forza on your smartphone, but you have to leave the house. So you turn on your Xbox, you put it into xCloud mode, and now you can play anywhere that's connected to the internet. And it's basically the server that you would have been running on if you were to be paying the service, the full service.
Gotcha.
So if you pay the big upfront cost, you still get essentially free xCloud. So it's either you pay the monthly fee for not free xCloud, or you buy the console and you get to use the console and get super low latency and really good feedback and none of the issues that come with streaming. And you can also get the streaming for free. But you just have to pay like $500, $600 up front or something. Yeah. Which I think is a good model. Because that's kind of what Stadia is trying to do. And that's the only competition. So they're matching the value of Stadia with a bigger catalog of games. And they're saying, hey, if you don't want to pay for it and you still want to go with the old style of buying a console, go ahead. And now you get to turn it into a server and you don't have to pay for xCloud. So I think it's really cool. And I definitely want to get the next gen Xbox because I got the one, but I didn't use it as much.
See, I'm more looking at like all these games passes because I unless I can actually like legitimately play like a video game on my Chromebook and it be hosted somewhere, then I'm just gonna play on my PC.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I'm looking at. I don't want to have to, get a console then host it on there. I don't know. I feel like just paying for the access, because then you can also buy in on the access whenever you like.
Right. So it's like Halo just came out. You want to play Halo?
Yeah.
Spend $15 a month for xCloud.
Yeah.
Another $10 a month for
Pass.
For the pass.
Right.
And so it's $25. You're only going to play it for a month, so now it's only $25 for Halo.
Yeah.
Versus $60 for Halo.
Yeah.
As long as you don't forget to cancel your subscription.
Which I bet they'll make it hard to, as Xbox has done that with their gold.
I hope that they don't, because I think that's kind of anti-consumer and would go against the way that I think they're trying to present themselves.
I don't know if they've changed it since, but it was impossible to cancel your subscriptions to their gold services.
But that's pretty much it for Microsoft. Overall, I felt like because Microsoft came out after Google too, like they really overshadowed Google Stadia versus xCloud. Another really cool thing too, and another reason why I think Microsoft kind of won this generation already. Not only they were the first one out of the gates with their new console versus Sony, which only is effective if Sony matches them or is worse than them. But if Sony somehow ends up having a better launch or reveal of their console,
or if the console is better. I don't know how that's possible.
But if their console is better, it actually would be at the disadvantage of Microsoft to have gone first.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to be at, worst case scenario for Xbox, they're going to be dead even. They're always dead even.
Yeah. That usually comes down to exclusivities.
Yeah. And Microsoft actually is going to be hosting through Microsoft Azure Sony's cloud infrastructure.
Yeah.
So,
it's way they're benefiting,
Yeah, so they're benefiting off of Sony's success now, which means that they win even if Sony wins. So I don't know how they lose anymore. So I think Microsoft definitely gets like I'll give them a 9 out of 10 on their conference. They didn't. I don't think they reached full 10 out of 10.
No,
but definitely
I don't think so.
some really cool shit.
Yeah, I think I'm with you on that. I'll probably give them a 9 because it's a lot of like as like playing on PC, them giving like moving towards like allowing games on there, making games on PC, and then having their pass on there. It's just like, way better. And then coming out with Gears that was always just for Xbox, and Halo's always just for Xbox, and now that's on PC.
They're definitely like one of the most consumer-friendly companies comparatively right now.
In the gaming industry.
The other one that I like a lot is Ubisoft. I think they're usually pretty consumer-friendly as well. But Microsoft, since Phil Spencer took over, has been doing great with their decisions. I'm very impressed. They even got, I remember, I don't know if it was last E3 or if it was, I forget exactly which event. I think it was actually last E3. They mentioned that they were buying all these independent developers, some indie developers, and then like major game studios that they were adding to their team.
Yeah. And
there was also the one thing that they didn't actually talk about at E3, but was also leaked right before E3, is that they're coming out with Fable 4.
Oh yeah.
So they're coming out with so many new games. The Games Pass, I'm impressed. It's definitely the biggest bang for your buck, at least as far as we can tell so far.
Oh yeah, definitely. So next up, on the E3 conferences was Bethesda, reeling from this Fallout 76 fallout.
Yeah.
They came out and I guess because the people that were there were still people like cheering them on or whatever for whatever they're saying. But basically they were just saving face with the new update, in my opinion. They came out with a new Battle Royale mode.
Yeah.
And
they're probably just trying to keep the game alive partly now.
Well, I think that's... And they also came out with a new update. And I think I actually kind of like how they did this. And they're putting human NPCs in the game. And they're going with the fact that, Vault 76 was the first vault. Everybody left that vault. There's nobody else around. You have to rebuild. But then over time, there's a certain point in time where you'll attract other people from somewhere else thinking that they were the only ones. So now you have human NPCs coming from elsewhere or whatever to help rebuild once like that infrastructure was kind of set based on the players.
Yeah.
So I kind of like that story kind of telling with this. And I can't tell if it was deliberate or not, but I want to believe that they didn't like keep human NPCs out of it to make the game bad. I think they were doing it so they can release human NPCs. It makes sense for the story. Like they probably just suffered. They didn't expect it to be that bad without these NPCs.
Yeah.
And then it happened. They're like, okay, we really need to get it. They might have done it sooner than later.
It's definitely one of the new strategies of AAA lately, where they're treating their games almost as if they're early access titles, and it's very odd. Because you've got like Sea of Thieves that came out, and that was like, the joke was as wide as an ocean, as deep as a puddle.
Yeah.
And there's games like No Man's Sky, and then there's.
But I don't know if Fallout was.
It definitely
necessarily like that. Maybe like a month or so. Like there was updates that they screwed the hell up, right?
Oh yeah,
and without that.
But this isn't even like the main Bethesda team. This is like a team that they kind of acquired recently and has been set to do Fallout. And I think the strategy behind it was always to just get a minimum viable product out to people. They took like probably no more than a year of development to make Fallout 76. I wouldn't be surprised if it was like a year to 2 years max.
Okay.
Or even if it was like longer than a year,
it
was more that they got their shit together in the last year. Like Anthem, it's like they actually made the game in a year essentially because they didn't really know what they were doing the whole fucking time.
Yeah.
And they made a minimum viable product. And they're like, okay, we'll put this out, and then we'll spend the next 5 years adding shit to it. And at some point, it'll be good.
Okay.
Because they know that the next Fallout game wasn't going to come out for another, 12 years.
Yeah.
because they've got Starfield, and then they've got Test 6, and then they would come out with another Fallout. So we've still got, like, I think next year is going to be Starfield, and then the year after, or sorry, then I think 3 years after that, we'll probably see, or 4 years, or even 5 years after that, we might see Test 6.
Really? Okay.
Because the last game they made was Fallout 4, and Fallout 4 was 2016 or 15?
I'm not sure. But I think I think this whole, like, new update and new game mode, and this week, you know, for 1 week from when, you know, they had a conference, it is free to play. So I think what they're trying to do is, revamp the players so that anybody that has the game, now that it's free, they'll get their friends to go on and play. And then if they realize it actually was fixed with the human NPCs or it's better, they'll stick around. And then they'll convince their friends to buy it. Or if the Battle Royale is good enough for the people that like Battle Royale, they'll stick around. Or
$60 is too big of a buy-in price.
It's not $60. Also, it's half off. Like,
yeah, of course it is, because they like to screw over everybody.
But for like a month after, it was like $40. It's no way this game has gone back up to $60.
Battlefield 5 was like over 50% off like a week after it released too.
Yeah, but there's no way this game is back up to $60. There's no way they brought it back up. It has to be at $40.
I mean, it better not be $60 ever again. It's not even close to worth $60. Like, the thing is I don't mind this strategy at all.
If it's free.
Like, I don't even need it to be free. Just make it like $20. Like, I'll buy Fallout 76 for $20, and no one would have been as upset if it was a $20 game.
Yeah.
Because, like, it was roughly worth $20, maybe you could argue. And then they're going to continue to support it, and they have microtransactions in it. You don't need to make us upfront pay $60 for this game.
Yeah,
and a lot of us fell for it.
I think they're also coming off of the transition that we're getting the industry that is going from like the $60 buy-in on games, and that they were like completed, and with the games as a service or free games, then you pay. I think they're caught like in the middle. That's kind of what happened with, in my opinion, with Battlefront 2. I think that's what happened with these guys. I think that this transition, they tried to capture, like, oh, we can get that upfront money and just, like, do this thing because we're basing our game off of other games that updated later. But that obviously doesn't work. Like, you need one or the other.
I think these companies really loved the upfront purchase. They always loved it because they would just get this big, fat influx of cash right away when they released a game.
Yeah.
And it was just, like that immediate gratification.
Yeah.
So they're like, well, we don't want to give up the security that comes with an upfront cost, but we want the longevity of monetization with the form of microtransactions. But the thing is, and you said it, they're caught between free or $60, but you know what's in between free and $60?
$30.
Yeah. Like, why are none of these AAA games giving themselves reduced prices that are an easier entry point for players? Maybe not $0 because they don't want to make it free and have that huge of a risk, but they can take a hit, make it $20, like, PUBG or something was $20, and most people are pretty okay with spending $20. But other than just Fallout 76 update, we had the new Doom Eternal, which looked pretty cool.
Looks really cool. Some of the same gameplay, a little new gameplay with some HUD and like showing other stuff. I mean, it looks cool. It looks like
still
more
Doom.
Yeah, still Doom. Still really good and metal. So it was still
New Elder Scrolls Online update that they wanted to tout a little more. Then there was a couple interesting new games. There was Deathloop, which is like. Made by Dishonored. I guess it's Arcane Studios.
Yeah, where it's like two characters. We don't know their protagonists or whatever. Yeah, and they're like fighting each other. So like, oh, we gotta get out of this. This is the only way out by killing each other.
Yeah, one's like the pessimist, one's the optimist. Yeah. They're kind of like foils of each other.
Yeah.
Looks pretty cool. And then there was Ghostwire Tokyo, which gave me like a Bleach vibe. If anyone's watched Bleach.
Oh yeah.
Where it's like these monsters you can't see, and like
you're making people disappear. Yeah, you gotta figure out what's going on, and then you're fighting them, but you're the only one that can solve it and know what's happening. And it's kind of eerie, but it looks really cool.
Yeah. And then more on Wolfenstein Youngblood.
Youngblood, yeah. just a little more of like the twins where the father's like stuck wherever, and then they have to go on the mission to go kill more Nazis.
It looks like it's a little bit less, like I know the previous games I felt were a little more stealth focused to some extent. If you wanted to play on the highest difficulty, you almost had to play stealthy.
I think there's still kind of a bit in there.
There's probably a bit of stealth in there, but it definitely seemed that they were, like, because there's two people and you're with each other, you can be a little bit more, like, balls to the wall, like guns blazing.
You're able to. Yeah. More firepower, I guess. One thing that Bethesda announced is it's called Orion. And
this was their cool like tech.
Yeah, so this is their tech showing. Yeah, this is like a tool that it's implemented in, I guess, the engine level. That's to make streaming better of the games that are using it. So that it's
like 40% less.
Like latency.
Bandwidth.
Bandwidth and less latency, so that the streaming games get better.
Yeah, and I think it's also meant for gamers to, like, let's say you maybe don't have the best computer, but you want to stream, and your graphics card and like your hardware is getting taxed super hard, or your internet, or I guess it's not the hardware, rather it's more like the internet. So if you don't have good internet, or your
family's using up your internet,
watching too much Netflix or something. Then this will essentially make it so that the games that you stream use up less of those resources, and therefore allowing you to stream better. So it sounds like it's something they're going to license out to developers, and people are going to have to pay for. So definitely cool. Is an interesting strategy on not Bethesda, but I guess it's ZeniMax. They're kind of the same thing, but I guess it's Bethesda's on the Bethesda side, trying to get some tech out there that people are going to buy. And then we had Devolver's.
Yeah, their conference.
I didn't watch the conference. I don't know if they did anything ridiculous like they sometimes do.
Yeah, I missed the actual conference itself.
I didn't hear anything, though, so I'm assuming that they didn't go crazy. But they did have some like cool indie games that they released.
Yeah. My Friend Pedro, which is the side...
It's like some crazy side
shooter type.
Like where you could do flips and like shoot over cover.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
It's supposed to be very...
kind of hectic.
Yeah. Sort of, I don't even know how to describe it. It's like parkour shooting.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's like one of those old Flash games that you would like... I don't know how to explain it.
Or like one of the stick fighter animations almost. Yeah. That looked pretty cool. And then there was Enter the Gungeons, like arcade.
It's an actual arcade game that's coming to some arcade.
It's like Rise of the Gun Dead or something.
Yeah.
And it's actually like you have like a physical gun, like a pistol.
Arcade game, gun. That's you
it's
like
one of those.
The screen, yeah.
And then they also had like a bootleg version of all of their games for $5, which was pretty funny.
Yeah. Just go and it's on Steam and just get like all of the you get, for example, Enter the Gun Dungeon, or there was like Miami, there was like
Hotline Milwaukee.
Hotline Milwaukee.
It's like a bunch of their games just like remade as crappier versions of them, but in like a funny way.
Yeah.
Which is definitely very Devolver.
Oh yeah, make fun of them. So it's really cool.
And then there's the PC gaming show.
Yeah.
Terraria is finally coming to an end.
Well, yeah, you can say that. There's like the last major update, so I guess it's like done with support. I don't know.
I mean, I'm sure that the team behind Terraria probably wants to make another game at some point.
You would think.
So they'll probably do like maybe some like bug updates and like really, really light updating following this. But it's called Journey's End.
Yeah.
It's Terraria's Journey's End.
Yeah.
So hopefully it's the last one. Not that I don't like Terraria. I love Terraria, but, you know, I feel bad for these developers who probably want to move on.
Make us another really good game.
Mm-hmm. And Terraria's got so much content in it already. Yeah. Plus, there's a lot of mods support for that game.
Yeah. And there's Vermintide 2 versus...
Yeah, they're coming out with, like, the Left 4 Dead almost versus mode.
Oh, so you, like, play as the like monsters, right?
So in Vermintide, there's like the special creatures, just like there was in Left 4 Dead. They're very similar.
Yeah.
And now people can play as them versus you.
Right.
As like the normal heroes.
Right.
But that looks pretty cool. Definitely going to add like another layer to Vermintide 2.
Yeah.
There was definitely a lot of other PC game show games that we didn't really cover just because there's a lot of like indie
VR
titles.
VR. I don't know if VR
There's
had
a
its
VR
own
show.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they had a lot of new stuff there. So it's just like...
I don't really know a lot of these games though. We both quickly took a look at a lot of them, but it's hard to remember when there's like 20 games, new indie games that are all coming out.
Yeah.
But other than that, there was following the PC gaming show, there was the Ubisoft show, and this one was definitely it was pretty good.
Yeah, they had like they weren't just showing like more updates; they were actually had some more new games.
So they had some weird new ones like Gods and Monsters, which how did you describe it?
So I described it sort of like a God of War, but like more animated and like not
cartoony,
hack and slash as much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like there's gods and you know
monsters.
Gods and monsters. Yeah, but and you're just like you're like the Kratos to these gods, where like they're like you're kind of interacting. They're like you're doing kind of their bidding. You're helping them like defeat these monsters and stuff like that.
And then there was like a rollerblading game called Roller Champions. We'll see how that goes. I mean, Ubisoft did do Steep, which was like skiing game.
Yeah.
So it's not surprising that they're going for like rollerblading the game.
Yeah. Well, don't they have Just Dance too? So like,
I mean, but Just Dance. That's dancing games have been around since like arcades, man. Like. Dancing games have a massive market, but rollerblading, I don't know. Lots of people like dancing. Not a lot of people into rollerblading.
I mean, I guess so. I mean, when you have other like sports, if you want to call this a sport.
It could be cool though, and I think that they did a good job with Steep, so I'm not super scared for that.
Yeah.
But other than that, they had like the brand new Rainbow Six Quarantine.
Yeah.
Which I thought was pretty darn cool. I've got good hopes for Quarantine, partly because it seemed the way that the vibe I got from it was that it was very much a passion project where when they had created the original Quarantine, what was it called again? Was it called Quarantine for Siege? It was called
Siege?
Hazard or...
Hazard. I thought it was Quarantine. Maybe not.
Either way,
but it's very
kind of
much
was
like that.
It's like an idea that spawned off of that, and it sounded like people at the Ubisoft went to bat to have this game created because they thought they had this great idea.
Yeah.
But it's definitely a concept I don't think we've seen as popularized in gaming. They said it was essentially that you're 3-person co-op and you go on these missions, and if you die permanently.
It's like your progress is reset.
Yeah, it could be like character progress, and there might be like multiple characters that you have.
Yeah, but you need to have like, and then you just make a new character like after that.
Yeah,
characters, like you can't run out of characters. What's the point of having the game?
Well, I think if you run out of characters, you just make another brand new character.
Okay, so like you can like level
it's
up
almost like
different
a roguelike.
characters. Okay.
Yeah. But another game that it kind of reminds me of, and this is like an indie title, but there was a game that is essentially you go into space and you're like a marine, and you have to. It's like a randomly generated dungeon, and you have to find all these data cores and then shut down the coolant system, and then find your way back to the airlock, all while these aliens are like breaking in and ripping the walls open and destroying doors and trying to kill you and shit.
Yeah.
And so it kind of feels almost like that, where like if you complete the mission, you get to keep your character and move them on to the next mission. But if you lose them on the mission, you actually lose them as if they died.
Yeah, you can't use them anymore.
So I'm really, really into that idea. I've always been like when I played Diablo 3, I only played hardcore characters. And that was so much more fun. So I love hardcore, so I'm definitely into that.
And then we have the new Ghost Recon Breakpoint.
And that's like there's new characters with that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
A new map,
It's
like
new
another
map. Yes. So the premise is the bad guys, I guess. That's one the main guys played by John Bernthal, which is the Punisher in the Marvel series, which is badass. But he and like the guys you're fighting are former ghosts. So so you're basically fighting against an army of yourself in the sense that it's like fully equipped. It's not like you're like fighting just some bad guy militia or something. I'm like not really as trained as you guys, but you're fighting the best that you were. And
I think I thought you said Rainbow Six Siege, the new update for it, by accident. Which is why I said like new operators, new map.
Oh.
But I realized you were talking about Breakpoint when you mentioned John Bernthal. I was like, oh okay, my bad.
I mean, this new guy, it is.
That is something that's new too, but it's not as big of a deal as like the new games. But Breakpoint did look pretty cool too.
Yeah. If it's anything like I really liked Wildlands, and it kind of is like it just looks like that, but you're just fighting ghosts, like out in the wild, out in the woods and other scenarios. I think that's still co-op, and I was afraid that you would not be able to play single player, but they have AI player just like in the previous ones. Yes.
Gotcha.
So that's good. Thank God.
There's also a new Watch Dogs, which seems to kind of be derailing off of the formula of the previous two games.
Yeah.
And kind of going with this like weird style of essentially not having a main character.
Yeah.
And being like this big giant group of people.
Like a resistance. Like
a resistance.
So you go out and you recruit people part of the resistance with like different skills. It could be anybody on the street, and like if you need to like somebody that can hack into computers or get into like whatever building, somebody that can take care of drones, because in this version of London it's like very taken over by the government, like lockdown, like drones everywhere,
like
police.
Post-Brexit.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Yeah, basically.
Like apocalyptic, or not apocalyptic, but dystopian.
Just like dystopian, like super authoritarian, like everywhere. So you're recruiting for the resistance, and you just recruit different, people and different missions, and you take control of them. So it's not like you're just picking them to be part of your team. You change their body, and you go control them. And if you're doing something, you're in a gunfight or whatever, and you die as that person, they're dead in that game. That's it. They get permanent death. And then you move on to the next person. You keep recruiting to build your army. So,
it's definitely kind of cool. I always liked games that were in that style. One that comes off the top of my head, it was State of Decay, where you had like all the different characters that you could follow and you can recruit. And if one of them died, I remember there was times where characters that I'd been working on for a real long time, you go out on a mission to get some resources for the camp, and I forget what they're called, like the really fast zombies that could like jump on top of you. And I remember dying to one of those, and it's just like, oof, like when you lose a really good character and they die, it definitely you feel it.
Yeah.
But it adds that element. It may seem like a negative thing, but in essence, it actually just makes you care a lot more about each of those characters, just because they are mortal.
Right.
Almost.
Yeah.
Other than that, there was like the update For Honor.
Yeah.
And then there was Uplay Plus, which is just another subscription service, $15 a month for all the Uplay games. Yeah. Which, I mean, I feel like Ubisoft is like, I think we already said this is one of the weaker subscription lineups, just because it's very games as a service focused.
Yeah, so they focus on less games, more content within each of the game.
Yeah.
To say, I guess I would like to see how like Siege would work. Like you paying and then you get all of the operators. You just get like the
you better
base,
get some good stuff with it.
You just get like the base operators.
They got to give you like the full game.
Yeah,
and like
what I'm
with
saying
all the
is
operators, like the
all of
$60 version or whatever the most expensive entry version is.
Okay, but it's still an
At
entry
least.
version. It wouldn't be
Yeah.
like the DLC ones, so it's like whatever the original, like when you get like
Yeah, like do
the
you have to pay
operators.
for DLC then? I don't know.
Yeah, and then like you're gonna lose out from paying for it.
We'll see what they end up doing. But overall, I think Ubisoft was also sort of middle of the road in terms of how good their showing was. I'd say like a little better than EA.
Yeah,
So maybe like
I give them like a 7.
6.5, 7. Yeah,
Like 7.
6.5. I actually think we missed giving Bethesda one.
Oh.
But I honestly think Bethesda. I'm gonna give them the same thing as Ubisoft, probably like a 7.
Yeah,
New tech
they
was
got
cool,
they
couple good
got
games.
new really cool games. Doom Eternal is good. They're working towards fixing Fallout, which is progress.
Mm-hmm. The next one is Square Enix, which overall had a pretty weak showing.
Yeah.
I mean, they got 2 Final Fantasy remakes.
We got a remake, Final Fantasy VII remake, Final Fantasy VIII remaster.
Right, I guess there's a difference, but
yeah. Well, because the remake, they're actually going to change things in it,
right.
And then the way the combat is versus a remaster, making it look better.
Yeah.
Bring it to another console. I don't. Then they also had Avengers. I think it's A Day is what they call it, and there's like pretty. I wouldn't say totally negative, but like because it's like set and it looks like the cinematic universe Avengers. The faces and heads don't look the same or really that close, so that people are like, "Oh, this looks horrible." But honestly, it doesn't. If you want to if you thought it was gonna be exactly the same, yeah, you're gonna be disappointed. But it doesn't look like shit. It doesn't look like they screwed up a face or made the animation or made a bad face. They just didn't do that face.
Yeah, they didn't like copy.
Yeah. Like Robert Downey Jr.'s face straight up.
Or like Scarlett Johansson.
Yeah, exactly. So
they went for like their own versions, but are still very similar to the cinematic universe.
Yeah.
So I think people are just kind of criticizing the fact that they were like 90% of the way there, but not 100% of the way there.
Yeah.
But I don't think they ever meant to be.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and then there was Outriders, and there's Battalion 1944, which is like a new kind of boots on the ground, old style shooter. And then just like the Life is Strange 2 game, which if you're into that type of game, you'll probably be excited. But I feel like the audience for like those, I guess you could call it in the most condescending way, would be a walking simulator game.
Yeah.
I've always found that like the funnest description for those types of games.
Yeah.
Where you just like make choices, walk around places, listen to dialogue.
Yeah.
Not that it's bad.
Right.
It's more like an interactive movie
Yeah.
than it is like a game.
Yeah, heavy storytelling more so than action.
But overall, Square Enix definitely one of the weakest. Probably not as bad as Google, so maybe like a 4.
Yeah, 4. Not quite average, but 4.
And then the last one is Nintendo.
Oh yeah. So we're getting a new Marvel Ultimate Alliance. It's the third one, and it looks like the Marvel Alliance the ones we've had before. Except I think because it's going to Switch, the Switch, it looks more cartoony than the previous ones, more than I'm hoping for. But if the gameplay is still the same, then it looks good.
I never played the other two.
They're really fun.
What's the genre?
Well, it's like an action, like it's like
action adventure.
Yeah, but you get to pick characters, so you get to pick a team, and you swap around within the team.
Okay.
So I don't know what genre it comes like. What like I would say Lego. Lego games when you have like 3 characters, you can pop around between them and do stuff, and you can fight. But that obviously there's not like building and shit, but like. That kind of like mechanic is there.
Okay.
So but you can play co-op, so you just
and
even
like somebody
in the
else
co-op
will
you can swap around. Yeah.
That's cool.
So yeah.
And you can like pick your team for like the different missions.
Yeah, you unlock them. Yeah, and you can do each mission like that you're doing. There's a whole story, but each like mission has its own like thing before you go into like the next chapter in a sense.
And then you get to like pick the team.
Yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Because it kind of changes depending on the scenario. Like your teams will change because the characters will actually like pick sides.
Yeah, and then some other new kind of like quick titles. They're coming out with Mario Maker 2, following the first one.
Yep.
Luigi's Mansion's getting a third game. Obviously, there's new Pokemon Sword and Shield, which is just kind of like stepping up to that next gen level of Pokemon, where there's like a lot more walking around.
Yeah, and like more
higher graphics.
Yeah, the increased graphics.
But like the main, at least what I think are like the really cool things were that Fire Emblem was coming out with its own brand new game.
Yeah,
that's going to be the first like Fire Emblem made for Switch. And it's called Three Houses, and it looks like really cool. It's a big step up for people who've played. It looks like who've played Fire Emblem. I've been playing Fire Emblem for a while, since I think Sacred Stones.
I don't know if it has been before, but it looks like really open world.
Yeah.
Type.
The last one was, you can kind of see what they're doing with this one if you've played the previous games. Like they've had like community areas where you can like walk around and interact. You having your main character interact with those other characters, but now it's even bigger, and it's like an entire compound where you can go to everyone's rooms. Yeah, and it's definitely taking like a big step up. So I think it's gonna be really cool. And then the other one was the new Legend of Zelda.
Yeah, Link's. Right?
No, the sequel to
the Breath of the Wild.
Breath of the Wild.
That's what you mean.
I mean, that's another huge one, and I think it's kind of interesting too. Is that with the first Breath of the Wild, they ended up like delaying it quite a bit before it was finally released.
Was it worth it?
Yeah, I think everyone agreed it was worth it, but now that it's something that's true with pretty much all sequels, which is an interesting thing within the gaming industry, is that when they make the first of a game, usually they have to build the engine, they have to make all of the textures, they have to make all of the models, they have to do all of this work up front to make like that minimum viable product. And then once they finally release it and now they go to make a sequel, they've already completed the entire engine. They already have like half the assets of the game from making the first one that they can reuse, because if there's even one similar enemy, it's going to be in both games. And all the weapons and all the, like, you can basically reuse a ton of those assets, so it's coming out a lot quicker than it took for the first Breath of the Wild to come out. I know a lot of Nintendo fans, specifically Zelda fans, were pretty desperate waiting for that one. And then there's like some small stuff,
like the new Smash Brothers characters. We have, I think it's two. It's like Smash packs. So there's the next one coming out is Dragon Quest Hero, and then the one after that is gonna have Banjo-Kazooie as both of them as obviously playable characters, fight new fighters.
And then the other cool thing that they're coming out with is the new Legend of Zelda Link's Awakening, which is like a remake of the original Link's Awakening. It's pretty different. It's pretty cool. But that should satiate the Zelda fans until the sequel comes out. But that's pretty much it for Nintendo as well.
Yeah.
They didn't have any really revolutionary stuff, just some sequels.
Yeah.
So they also kind of got maybe like a 5.
I would give them like 5, yeah.
I think to a lot of people, Breath of the Wild sequel,
it's kind of big, right?
Yeah.
And it seems like Fire Emblem is kind of a big thing, too.
It's a lot of really big
steps.
Big, like, sequel steps. Yeah. But at the same time, Nintendo's never been big on new IPs. They kind of just remake and remake and remake, and new game, sequel. Like, how many Mario games are there?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, then they go and make what's the newest Mario game that they made?
Mario Maker? Mario Odyssey?
Odyssey, yeah.
Odyssey was pretty cool. Different style. Yeah. But other than that, I mean, like, there were some honorable mentions.
Yeah. All across the whole show.
just like games that didn't really have their own panels or conferences.
Yeah. Well, considering that Sony was absent,
stupid move on Sony's part.
Could be, maybe not.
Hopefully we have not. To see. We'll see. Yeah.
And usually they host. They're the ones that have Call of Duty because they're usually exclusive on there. So we didn't really see any like showing of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, which is a remake of Modern Warfare. Mm-hmm. So it's not just a remaster, and it's not like a reboot. I think in a sense it's a reboot. They're not continuing the story. They're gonna remake the story from the original.
I don't like that they're doing that because it feels like it devoids all the previous games. It relegates them to like non-canon almost by going and being like, hey, instead of continuing the story that you all loved and gave praise to for the last 3 games, because people really liked Modern Warfare 1's and Modern Warfare 2's storylines, and I mean, I think that they could have just continued in that universe rather than being like, hey, we're going to throw that universe in the garbage and remake it in a different way. Because
were any of the other Call of Duty's continuations of Modern Warfare? There's Advanced
Modern Warfare 1, 2, and 3 were all in the same universe.
But was Advanced Warfare in there?
I don't think so. I'm not sure.
Because I feel like after a certain point, we've just tainted the series.
Campaign,
right, because at that point they're just mixing shit up. So I think that bringing it back bringing it back is a good thing.
I mean, I think bringing it back is fine, and you can call it like Modern Warfare, because ultimately COD 4 is COD 4, not COD Modern Warfare. So going and being like, hey, we're making COD Modern Warfare, and we're like taking things back to that period of like, the way that we designed those games is fine. It's just that when you're like, oh, hey, the story that this other guy made before me, I'm sure that there's the person who wrote the stories for Modern Warfare might not be the same person who's writing the story for this Modern Warfare. They're just like, yeah, it's almost like starting a new Marvel Cinematic Universe right after this one just concluded with all new characters, and then just being like, yeah, don't worry about that old universe. Next universe. Next universe because it makes us more money.
No, I don't know. I don't feel like that. Also, there's going to be some of the same characters in there from the original. So it's going to be.
I mean, it's not like that big of a deal. I probably won't even buy the game or play it.
So I think that
I just don't like the idea of it.
I think the main point of this is in the new game, this is going to be cross-platform. So I think that.
Why?
Why not? That's a good thing.
Shooters aren't good cross-platform.
Look, I think
because if you play on console, you're at a disadvantage to PC players. So it's not a big priority unless it's like Fortnite, where it doesn't really matter, or like.
I think game makers are now catching up with the fact that people don't want to buy a whole console just to play with their friend. Okay.
No, I think I'm not saying not to include it, but I just don't see it as like a marketing selling point.
I think there are more people. I think it kind of is a selling point. I think it's going to get way more people to buy it than would have, because I know there's every group of friends has at least one person that doesn't have that same console, and now they wouldn't have bought that game at all, but now they will.
No, it definitely helps sell the games. I'm just looking at it more from like a gameplay perspective. Like it doesn't add anything like much to the game other than unbalancing multiplayer a bit.
Yeah, but you'll be matched fine unless you join somebody of a different platform. That's it.
I think that would be probably how it works. I honestly, I love crossplay. I'm not shitting on crossplay. I don't really care for it in shooters specifically. It's like the only place I don't really care for it because it doesn't have any interest to me because I don't like the idea. I've tried it with Fortnite where I played with my friend, and it ultimately was just a handicap that made you higher chance of losing games and doing poorly because it would bring the console player into the PC version.
Yeah.
And so it can be difficult to balance that. So I've never been like big on cloud or on crossplay for shooters, but that's the only thing. If other people enjoy it and don't care, by all means.
I think it's gonna be a big selling point.
Yeah, I think it definitely allows like people like if I'm on PC and all my friends are on Xbox and they're all playing COD,
Yeah.
I might actually get it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
I think also it's a bigger, um, like if it's like PS4 and Xbox, then there's like a now it's
That
both console and
yeah.
there's so many people that are like that.
Hopefully, PlayStation isn't going to be like weird about crossplay this gen.
I think it's fine. I think they're gonna be fine. I think their plan, at least Call of Duty's plan, is to put it on for all three. So in addition to that, there's gonna be no season pass. So any new DLC.
Oh wow! It took them this many games to figure it out.
Yeah, because when you have a map and your friend doesn't, so now what's up? What you just paid for your DLC, now you can never play it when you can play with your friends. Dude, so what's the point?
Like when people would actually get those maps and then search for games, they'd sit there for like multiple minutes, sitting there hoping that they'd find other people who actually have these maps. But no one does, because who would pay $40 up front for maps that aren't going to be released for like a year?
Yeah.
Like, and then once 3 map packs have been released, you have to spend the whole $40 just to get the most recent one. Can't even buy them a la carte. Like, I don't know what they were doing. Call of Duty Black Ops 4 is just been a cesspool of monetization, and just like seeing. I think Activision was just trying to push it as far as they could to see if they could make as much money as possible. But other than COD, there was Destroy All Humans.
Yeah, remaking this game.
Well, I don't think it's a remake. I think it's like a sequel.
It could be.
It's like a new game.
Yeah, I mean, okay. Basically, we're getting a new gen, and it looks like from the trailer, it looks so nice.
Yeah, it looked pretty cool, and definitely has like a what's the word for it? Like not a classic vibe, but like a nostalgic.
Hell yeah.
Because I just remember playing that growing up.
Well, I think we're also getting a SpongeBob Battle for Bikini Bottom remastering or remaking that one. I don't really know.
They need to make a SpongeBob Battle Royale.
Oh, that'd be so much fun.
That'd be great. And then there was like Phoenix Point, which is made by the people who made XCOM, which looked pretty cool too.
Yeah, it was cool.
So, I mean, that was pretty much all the games. There's probably a lot more indie titles that we didn't mention.
Yeah, and any VR, a lot of VR that just unknown. You don't really know much about, when they're announcing them. Like, we haven't had a lot of good ways to show VR. I guess you can show the gameplay, but if you don't have really good gameplay show, then you can't really.
Plus, VR has that like kind of weird perspective, like shake, like body twitch. Movement problems, things like that like you don't care when you're playing it, but when you're watching a trailer, it definitely comes off weird. But I mean that's pretty much all the games. Microsoft definitely came out swinging hardest. Stadia got overshadowed. Ubisoft, Bethesda, and EA had kind of lukewarm.
Nintendo was Nintendo, unless they come out with a new like gaming console, they just come out with the same games or
sequels. Square Enix is weak. PC Gaming Show was cool. We didn't really talk too much about those, but those are mostly indie titles. A lot of indie stuff. But overall, I think a weaker E3 this year compared to previous years.
I think it's kind of going that way too. Like it's kind of went that way within previous years, and now it's just really hitting that hard because we're getting like, if you notice how many games are just not games, there's a lot. How many announcements are not games? They're just extra content for these games, and then on top of like the hype trains where we know if we get hyped, like the marketing is not the same. We're not gonna get hyped up for us. For the game to
not after Fallout 76,
right? Especially not after Fallout 76, but now, and especially with like
PTSD.
Streaming and like when the game comes, we're not gonna pay for this game because if it's not gonna be finished, we don't want it. So then we wait for it to be streamed on day one. Then we know if we like it. So the hype train can go, but the dollars aren't gonna flow like they used to with pre-orders.
They're not even trying to push pre-orders anymore.
No.
I personally wish these companies just ditched pre-orders because I get that the investors like them because it gives them an idea of like what they're going to be making on their games and whatnot. But like, guys, pre-orders are just so dead.
It used to be a day it used to be a day in E3 when every single game had one like like this content, this silver sword, the gold sword or the gold gun or this map pack or this figurine or this or that. Dude, almost nobody had that. I mean, maybe like 1 or 2 games had. I don't even think so.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all of E3 this year.
Yeah, let us know
what you guys think.
Yeah, what you're most excited for.
Did you guys agree that Microsoft came out and was definitely the strongest? Yeah. They're the only ones who even felt like they had a real conference, yeah, because they had a lot to talk about.
Oh yeah.
What did you guys think about? Is there any like specific new game that you thought we underplayed, or that was like one of the indie titles maybe? There was definitely some cool indie titles that we just purposely didn't want to mention just because I think a lot of people aren't going to even know what they are.
Yeah.
But other than that, let us know what you think. And as always, thank you for listening and subscribing.
You can find us anywhere podcasts are available.
So, Spotify, iTunes, Google, Apple, SoundCloud, YouTube,
iHeartRadio.
Yeah, you name it, we're there. Check us out. You can follow us on Instagram at Unstoppable Force Podcast and Twitter at UForcePod for any news and updates. We'll see you guys next week. And until then, stay unstoppable.